Oh, another round of audiophile bullshit, which is what I think part of the DBS stands for. So we've got a DBS clad cable. So Audioquest makes a whole range of cables in any particular category, and even their low-end stuff is supposed to sound better than your bog standard interconnects. So this DBS cable represents the high end. It's the top of the heap, leader of the pack. It's got a battery pack. It keeps the insulation around the conductor in a constantly charged or biased state, therefore giving you the best audio that you could of any other cables. Now, I want to point something out. Their cable sounds so good, and it'll make your system sound so good that you won't know when the battery will run out. So, they've got a test button. If the cable makes that much of a difference in your audio, you should be able to hear when the battery's dying. You should be able to hear when the battery's dead. You should be able to hear when Uncle Jimmy played a trick on you and removed the batteries from the system. Or reverse them. Whatever, you get the point. You shouldn't need a test button. You should be able to frickin' hear the difference. So I go over on the an Audioquest kind of skewed thread over at What's Best Form, where for pointing out the obvious, my account has subsequently been suspended, which is no great loss. So William Lowe from Audioquest, CEO there, he gets into a little tit for tat with me. And I point out the absurdity here. And he goes on, and I want you to hold this thought for just another couple minutes. He says it's about human perception over time. All right, so your cables don't make an immediate difference. But here's the entire problem. The diamond cable is a cable from downstream of the product line that they've attached a battery pack to. So even without the batteries, this cable in situ should make an audible improvement. All right, so we know that's bung. All right, so let's go to his next argument. What if the cable was in the drawer for 5 years? If I bought a $1,000 cable and I stuffed it in a drawer for 5 years, I stuffed it in a drawer because it sucked. All right, what happens if you're wanting to sell it to somebody? If I'm trying to take a $1,000 cable and maybe sell it for $300, I'm not going to be a cheap bastard and not buy $1.50 worth of batteries. Or if I'm the idiot buying it, I'm not going to be a cheap bastard and not put $1.50 worth of batteries in it. And by the way, for $1,000 and the fact that he says that the batteries will last in these cables for years, Audioquest should probably just buy you a lifetime supply of batteries, since it's not going to need that many. And trust me, they got the margin on it. All right, so remember, I asked you to hold the thought about it's about human perception over time, because we're going to go to the next page in this thread where things turn truly bizarre. Well, not bizarre if you're used to audio snake oil salesman. All right, so here's where we get at this. He said pretty much that it's perception over time. But when I ask him, it's like, hey, you think you'd hear the difference between the counterfeit King Cobra and some Diamond RJEs with and without batteries? Sure, pretty much every day. Somewhere in the world, so anywhere. New audience, people off the street. They hear a run-through of cable comparisons, which is single variables change at a time. All right, it gets even better. Not as it only contradicted himself in the prior post, he's going to drag John Atkinson into this. All right. He makes an error here. First off, he suspects that I'm wanting to do instant comparisons. And the first methodology is that professionals in my community have done their best to explain why it's a defective methodology, most notably John Atkinson. I didn't say anything about how I wanted to do the comparison. You want to know what comparison I want to do, Mr. Lowe? I'll tell you what comparison I want to do. I want to do the comparison that you do right here with you on the other side of a curtain.